half, and they kind of refound who they actually are in that second half.
Yeah, finding that rhythm is so important, and you bring up an interesting point, right? Like one of the best floor generals in the country gets reinserted doing a lineup. Typically you would think, oh yeah, they're going to win by 20, which they ultimately almost did. They won by 18.
Yeah.
But at the half, it was looking a little bit rocky, but they got going in the second half, and it was all Golden Eagles after that point.
And they had to ask so much of so many other players, because not only did Tyler have to miss those games at the end of the regular season and all of the Big East tournament, but they were without Sean Jones. And that's their backup point guard, right? So now, okay, who's going to handle the ball? And luckily Marquette is, they've got a lot of guys that can handle it. I mean, is Cam Jones a true point guard? No. Can he be your point guard in a pinch? Yeah, he can. Can Oso Iguodaro bring it up for you? Yeah. Do you want him doing that every time?
Absolutely not.
Definitely not. But they had to kind of, mix and match the best they could since Tyler and Sean Jones were out. So I think everybody it took them a half for everyone to kind of slide back into those roles. Same thing with Chase Ross. Chase had done such a great job in the starting lineup, and it's a different I asked him about it in terms of a mentality, because Brian D and I did a show on Selection Sunday at the Marquette Watch Party, and he talked about not really a different mentality. It's just more of a physical thing, like just kind of coming off the bench, you're just not quite as ready, because when you're starting the game, you're all stretched up, you're loose, you're ready to go. And him just kind of sliding back to the bench after starting for almost a month at this point, I think that took a little bit of time to get back to normal as well. But I think we saw the true Marquette team in half number 2, the way they dominated Big Red and Western Kentucky.
Big Red, indeed. One of the greatest mascots
He's
in all
terrifying.
of college sports. I think he's lovable.
Is he? I mean, he could eat anything.
That's true. It's true. Cheerleaders I've seen before, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Our friend from ESPN West Palm, Ken Levicka, here has a picture of him being eaten by Big Red. Yeah.
Nobody's safe. Nobody's safe around Big Red. That's what I'm saying. He lulls you into a sense of security, thinking he's lovable. Next thing you know, you're being eaten.
Well, we have good news to report. Steve the Homer True is not eaten, as you just heard him on the Homer Hour from 5 to 6, as he was courtside, obviously, in Indianapolis. For the Marquette, 87-69 win over Western Kentucky. This is ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night. Alex Strouf, Gabe Neitzel with you from the 3rd Street Market Hall until 7 o'clock tonight. And Gabe, the road to the Elite Eight for Marquette now, all double-digit seeds. I know it's maybe the most parity-driven NCAA tournament field we've ever seen, but I have to view it this way. Marquette a 2 seed. They play a 10 seed Colorado Sunday. If they beat Colorado next week in the Sweet 16, they will either play 11 seed NC State or 14 seed Oakland. So I ask you this. If Marquette doesn't get to the Elite Eight, should we view this tournament run as a failure?
Yeah, probably. I mean, this is something, having a deep playoff run is something that they have openly talked about. I mean, Tyler Kolek kind of talked about it. I've seen a couple different, national interviews that he's done of, when I look at Tyler specifically, I mean, he's accomplished just basically everything in his college career. Consensus All-American back-to-back years, Big East Player of the Year, regular season conference championship, tournament conference championship. The only thing missing from his resume is a deep run in the NCAA tournament. And it's such a hard thing to do, because the reason why we love the tournament is the chaotic nature of it, the one-and-done nature of it. And it can be tough to make sure you're playing your best basketball when this thing hits in the month of March. And ultimately, I think that, if they fall to Colorado, who, by the way, just scored 102 points,
track meet.
If they fall, by the way, also gave up 100.
That's why I called it a track meet.
So, I think if they were to fall to Colorado, I think that's going to be a disappointment. I think they're going to be it's going to be disappointing if they don't get to the Elite Eight. When you look at the way this bracket has opened up, not to say that, we saw Oakland. Oakland's got some talented players on it. NC State is literally the hottest team in the country right now, and Colorado can score. There's a lot of talent there, not to say they should just walk there. A lot of hard work needs to go into this still, but they're going to be favored on Sunday. They're going to be favored if they win that game in the Sweet 16. The Elite Eight is certainly within their reach, and it'd be the first time in over a decade that they would have a run like this. And this is a special team. I really, really want it to happen, man. It's been so fun to be around this team, to be talking about this team on the pregame show and at halftime. I'm really, really hoping for them to be able to keep playing the way they did in the second half today.
Your way into ESPN Wisconsin College. Game night is on the ESPN Wisconsin Talk and Text line. That number, 800-990-3776. Again, 800-990-ESPN. Asking you tonight, if Marquette doesn't get to the Elite Eight, should we view this tournament run as a failure with only double-digit seeds in their way now? Marquette's one of the few teams I view in this tournament, Gabe, as a team you can call very good. Right? I mentioned the parity across the NCAA field this year. I think there's probably only 8 or 9 teams you can look at and say, yeah, they're really good. It's UConn with a big space, who, by the way, had a ginormous win over Stetson today. They were favored by 27.5. Yeah, they covered. They're really good.
Did they cover twice?
They might have covered twice. I don't know what the final score was
I just
off the top
know,
of my head.
They
but
blew
it was
them
close.
out. Blew the doors off Stetson today.
91-52, so they just about covered twice.
Almost got there twice.
Yeah, won by 39 points, and they had the reserves in with like 10 minutes left in the game against Stetson today. They'll play 9th-seeded Northwestern. Every Big Ten team, by the way, Gabe, has won so far in the Big Ten tournament. Still 3 have won, 3 still to play. Nebraska tipping off shortly, Purdue tipping off shortly, and Wisconsin scheduled for an 8:40 tip tonight against 12th-seeded James Madison. We'll talk about that game a bit later. Nebraska underway against Texas A&M, the 9 seed. They're up 17-13. But UConn, really good. Then I think there's a space where you can look at teams like Houston and Purdue and Iowa State and UNC and Marquette. And then it's everybody else.
Yeah.
And Marquette now with only double-digit seeds in their way. And I understand the parity, and double-digit seeds can get hot. Look at NC State, who won the ACC tournament. Now they beat Texas Tech handily, and they're on to the round of 32.
FAU wasn't a double-digit team, but there were 8 seed that made the run to the NCAA tournament, to the Final Four last year, and were a blink of an eye of going to the national championship game. Mm-hmm. So again, teams can get hot in this parity league, but I look at a team like Marquette, and I think this applies to of Wisconsin, and I would say especially maybe more going forward than this year's version of Wisconsin, but teams that are going to build themselves the way that Shaka Smart and Greg Gard want to. Like Greg, and Gard used the transfer portal to get A.J. Storr, and I'm sure Shaka Smart will use the transfer portal again. Tyler Kolek is a transfer. When Kirk Queth was somebody that they got as a transfer right away.
That's the second day in a row that name has been brought up on the show, by the way.
Brian D. was sitting in this chair yesterday. Of course, Kirk Queth was going to be brought up.
Unbelievable.
But they're a team that wants to build around culture and make sure they have the right fits. And they're not going to rush into the transfer portal. And those are the types of teams, I think, that are going to have more success in the NCAA tournament in this current NIL state of college sports that we're in. I think we saw that with Kentucky. We've seen that with other big-time programs. I think that's why part of the reason why we've seen so many number 1 seeds fall before the Final Four in recent years. I think that's just such a big part of it. In Wisconsin, yes, they got A.J. Storr this year, but if you've watched the Badgers at all this year, the dude's a culture fit, right?
Correct.
He is fitting in. It's just not like, we need a big-time scorer, bring in A.J. Storr. It's nice that he did that, but it was more important that he was a culture fit before all the scoring and everything else. So I think those types of teams are the ones that are set to have potentially some success, which is why you're going to have a team like Oakland make a run. Like some of these teams from mid-majors that have been together and have a 24-year-old graduate, they might be able to make some runs because they have that togetherness, that collectiveness that a lot of teams that are going to be diving into the transfer portal don't necessarily have.
It's a really good point. Experience speaks in the NCAA tournament, and we'll continue to see if that is the trend here in 2024, the 2024 NCAA tournament. But you're right, Kentucky falls flat, and they have debatably 2 top 5 picks in the NBA draft, right? And Oakland, a team from the freaking Horizon League, who beat UW-Milwaukee. No shot at UW-Milwaukee. They beat UW-Milwaukee to get here. Then they beat Kentucky in their very next game. That's a little bit of a step up. Experience speaks in the NCAA tournament. We'll see if that's the case tonight, to your point, with the Wisconsin Badgers who return everybody and add A.J. Storr.
Yeah.
That went on that NIT run to the last 4 teams standing, the NIT semifinals a year ago. 800-990-3776, your way into ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night. Is it a failure if Marquette doesn't make it to the Elite Eight with NC State, Oakland, and Colorado standing in their path? Did you, if I told you 24 hours ago, Gabe, that Kentucky isn't in the way, that Texas Tech isn't in the way, I think Florida we thought might fall given that the injury to their big man Holgson. in the SEC tournament last week.
Did you see that injury?
I did. Did you?
So I was doing ESPN Radio Game Day with Aaron Goldhammer and Bob Valvano last week, and going into that show, had a group text and the producer like, "Oh, bad injury in the Florida game." And any time that Ware's name, the kid from Kentucky, gets brought up.
Louisville.
Yeah, excuse me. Yes, from Louisville. That's over a decade ago when he broke his leg in the Final Four. Anytime that name gets brought up, I try to avoid it. And then when I was told you could hear the leg breaking,
you could hear it.
I'm like, yeah, no, I don't need to see it. I'm good.
So
I'm good.
You are. I think everybody I've talked to about this injury from Florida has said they haven't seen it because of that reason.
Yeah. No, I
maybe I'm a sick individual because I sought it out.
You sought it out? How much do you remember the Ware injury?
Oh, I remember exactly where I was sitting.
All right.
I was in my aunt's basement Easter weekend in Waunakee, Wisconsin. I remember exactly where I was.
I mean, I remember seeing that. And, they didn't pick up on it right away on the telecast. I'm like, wait, did I just... And then they went back to, yep, okay, they're never showing that ever again on national television.
I think I was a freshman in high school when that happened, Gabe, the Kevin Ware injury. We were in our basketball unit of gym at the time.
Oh, sure.
I was afraid to jump the next day in gym class.
Fair. I think that's very fair.
I don't want to butt in here, but I was actually at that game where Kevin Ware...
Oh, really?
No. Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, Max. Max Meyerson, our producer,
what was it
25
like
yards
for us.
So nobody knew what happened because it was after a shot, so everybody's just looking at the ball, right? So, all we see is I saw a bunch of players just, on the ground, kneeling, laying down. I'm like, what happened? A bunch of guys run into each other. I had no idea. And then you see all the people huddle over to the guy on the sideline, and then they stretcher him off, and everybody in the arena was completely confused. Nobody saw it because they didn't show it on the Jumbotron.
Right.
Well, no, because you can't. You can't show that on the Jumbotron.
So I remember this guy in front of me was pulling out his phone, and nobody had good connection, so he had this grainy video, and he was showing everyone around him the guy that broke his leg, and it was right before halftime. So when everybody left to go to the concourse, everybody's like, did you see? Nobody knew what happened in the moment, but yeah, I just remember being there and being like, wow, this is insane.
Wow. Well, so you're scarred a little bit from that experience, Max Meyerson.
It was horrible. I was afraid to do any physical activity after that. I remember my friends wanted to have me over and jump on the trampoline. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Don't need to snap my leg today. So.
I'm not jumping on the trampoline anytime soon. That is a fair response to that. As Florida falls, Colorado Marquette in the round of 32 coming up on Sunday.
So back to the previous injury point. Kentucky was probably the team I was scared of most in the bracket. When the bracket came out, you're looking at it like, okay, this is a pretty decent bracket for Marquette. And so for Kentucky to go down right away, I thought, okay, this thing really opens up. But then you add to it the fact that now it's nothing but double-digit seeds between them and potentially an Elite Eight run. Who knows who you run into there? I don't think Houston's as good as they were early in the season because so much of their depth has been robbed with season-ending injuries. So I think that this southern part of the bracket is really opened up for Marquette. I think they've got a really good opportunity in front of them.
You're saying Houston isn't as good as they once were, like the great Toby Keith once said. It means Wisconsin would probably play them in the Sweet 16. Marquette with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Gabe, are you starting to talk yourself into it?
How would we handle that as a state?
Well.
Yeah, would we finally admit that this was a rivalry? Because every time it comes around, everybody tries to pretend it's not. Very few people pretend that it is.
Well, Marquette fans do.
Some do, some don't.
Where do you land?
No, it's a rivalry.
Okay.
And, I've seen Wisconsin fans pretend that it's not and then continuously take shots. My grandmother is 91 years old.
Yes.
She is a Marquette grad. And I try to take her to a game every year. She loves college basketball, loves Marquette basketball. And my cousin's husband, who played football at UW, was a walk-on at UW, always gives her crap every time Marquette loses. Every time Marquette loses.
She's 92.
She's 91.
91, excuse me.
Yeah, she's 91. Gives her crap. I mean, my grandma gives him crap every time Wisconsin loses. So, it's a fair fight. But I don't understand why some people don't want to pretend it's a rivalry. Just embrace it. It's a rivalry. Who cares?
Yeah, and especially with the way this bracket's shaping up. I'm starting to talk myself into the possibility.
So I'm going to ask you this, and we can do this after the break. You're a Wisconsin fan.
I am.
5-12 is always the historic upset. You always want to make sure when you're picking your bracket, you want to pick one. We've had 2 5-12s, 5 seeds won both. 2 more 5-12s tonight. Are you a little nervous?
Is Alex Strofe a little nervous? He, I say in the third person, answers that question next. Alex Strofe, Game Nights are with you. It's ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night, live from the 3rd Street Market Hall.
We're back with more ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night after this on ESPN Wisconsin.
It's a promise we made in 1964 and continues now, 60 years later, making car buying easy for families across southeast Wisconsin. Celebrate Ewald Automotive's 60th anniversary with special savings on over 1,300 vehicles. Shop the easy way with the lowest prices guaranteed. Plus, you're backed by Ewald's exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Hurry into Ewald's 60th anniversary sale. Go to ewaldauto.com.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all off season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Cousins Subs features only the finest Wisconsin-made cheeses and dairy on their menu. And now the time has come for even more cheese, as Cousins is happy to introduce their new Cheddar Supreme cheese sauce. Order this cheesy treat on their new cheese fries, chili cheese fries, or add cheese sauce to your favorite sub. More cheese? Yes, please. Order today at any location, online, or via Cousins mobile app. Cousins Subs. We believe in better.
Are you tired of looking at a dirty, dusty, and cracked garage and looking for a fresh new look? Hi, this is ESPN Milwaukee's Jen Latta, and I'm here to tell you about Floor Shield by Showtime Floors. Using a state-of-the-art coating 4 times stronger than traditional epoxy, it's tough enough to be used in military bases and airports. Floor Shield is certified as an anti-slip floor and also eco-friendly, all while being UV stable, and my favorite part, easy to clean. This makes it perfect for outdoor spaces, just like your patio. Check it out at showtimefloors.com and work with a specialist to transform your space in as little as 1 day.
Do you have a car, boat, ATV, or motorcycle taking up space in storage or your garage? Homer here, asking you to consider donating it to Rawhide Youth Services. Co-founded in 1965 by Bart and Cherry Starr, Rawhide is a local faith-based nonprofit organization dedicated to inspiring and equipping at-risk youth and their families. They need vehicle donations to support their mission of helping troubled youths transform their lives. Visit rawhide.org/donate and learn how you can help today.
Experience, knowledge, and results. That's what really matters when you need help after a serious truck accident. You'll need a lawyer experienced in fighting and winning for people just like you. Gruber Law Offices has the resources, strong track record of success, and a team of experienced lawyers to take care of your needs. We've successfully helped people injured in big truck accidents for more than 35 years. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Another MVP has joined the roster at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Dr. Ryan Stefanchuk. Board certified in sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation, Dr. Stefanchuk specializes in non-operative treatment of the spine, chronic pain, all joints, all musculoskeletal problems, and more, emphasizing holistic care first, with a focus on diet, sleep, stress management, and social connections for a patient's well-being. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference.
Earth Justice is a national legal nonprofit fighting to save lives, protect our climate, and strengthen our economy through the shift to zero emissions. Visit us at earthjustice.org. Earth Justice, because the earth needs a good lawyer.
You're listening to ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night, live from inside the 3rd Street Market Hall on ESPN Wisconsin.
Just let me cry a little bit.
ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night live from the 3rd Street Market Hall in downtown Milwaukee. Alex Strofe, Game Night's still on hand with you until 7 o'clock tonight, talking all things March Madness. We'll get to the question Gabe asked Alex Strofe momentarily. Sticking with the third-person game.
I mean, again, SmackDown just down the way, The Rock.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing, even though he's not scheduled to be in Milwaukee tonight.
If you smell. We had our first big upset of the day. 13-seeded Yale tops 4th-seeded Auburn, 78-76. I think we decided it's Spokane, Washington, is where that game happened?
Correct.
Okay, I'm gonna roll with it nonetheless. I was telling you in the break, man, Ivy League guys know geometry better than everybody else. I predicted the Yale upset. That was the one I was feeling the best about.
I did not. I root for Auburn. I like Bruce Pearl. I know he's gotten some trouble some different places, but he's like sold. He just sells out wherever he's at. Like I think of Bruce Pearl, I think of him being shirtless, painting his chest in support of Pat Summitt in the women's basketball program when he was at Tennessee.
Yeah.
And of course, he's still close with Milwaukee legend David Gruber. And I know Groobs was out there for that game. He's going to be coming back to Milwaukee a little disappointed.
Sorry, Groobs. We're sorry to hear that. But that's the first big upset of the day. Really, what would you say, Gabe? Maybe the 3rd or 4th upset of the tournament. I mean, there's been a couple 9s over 8s or 10s over 7s. Those aren't true, real upsets, in my opinion. We've got to have a separation of at least 4 seeds or 5 seeds to call it a true upset. So 13 Yale over 4 Auburn's a big one. Both 5 seeds that have played against 12 seeds have won.
Yep.
There's 2 5-12 games left tonight, which includes my Wisconsin Badgers taking on the 12-seeded James Madison Dukes. James Madison has won more games heading into the NCAA tournament than anybody else in the field at 31. Am I nervous? Hell yeah, I'm nervous. Hell yeah, I'm nervous. I believe in Bucky. We talked in the last segment about how experience can do you wonders in the NCAA tournament. I think Wisconsin wins tonight. I think Wisconsin gets to the second weekend, in fact, due to their experience. But it's the NCAA tournament. This ain't a best-of-3 series.
Yeah.
It's one game. It's one night. It is 40 minutes. Whatever the hell happens, happens. So, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous when it comes to Wisconsin taking on a 12 seed tonight in one of the last games of the first round. Yeah, I'm nervous, Gabe.
What makes you the most nervous, though? Is it the 5-12
It's the
thing?
5-12.
Okay.
But also it's like Greg Gard hasn't been to a second weekend, and I know this is only the first round, but he hasn't been to a second weekend since 2017, which is his second year as the head coach. That's 7 years ago. He hasn't won a lot of tournament games since 2017, I think.
That was a fun run, though.
That was a fun run, but
ended unfortunate.
It ended unfortunate. Yeah.
I was there for that.
Were you?
I went.
Was 17 Chiozza?
What's that?
Was 17 when they lost to Florida and Chiozza? No, that was earlier than that.
No, that was. I'm pretty sure.
Was that 17? Yeah. Okay.
Pretty sure that was because I went out to MSG for it.
Wow. Yeah, that was a heartbreaker.
I mean, it was a hell of a game. Back when everybody liked Aaron Rodgers and he was in the crowd.
Showy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm sorry, I don't want to bring up the bad
you totally
memories
sidetracked with bad memories when we're trying to talk my way up into confidence.
That's on me.
That's
on me.
Because I believe in like the former quarterback, I believe in the power of manifestation.
Okay.
And I'm trying to manifest 5-seeded Badgers, 2-seeded Marquette, Elite 8, trip to the Final Four on the line. That's what I'm trying to manifest.
I don't know what we're going to do as a state if that ends up happening. Luckily, it wouldn't be like. If they met in the Sweet 16, it would be worse because it's like a whole week leading up to that.
Yeah.
If
you only get 48 hours.
Yeah, we can't handle that. Like I don't know if we as a state would be able to handle that. But more on tonight's game. So, how much? Because Wisconsin really has turned it around since February.
For sure, they're playing the best
February
ball.
was
atrocious.
It was just bad. But they found a way to turn it around, played well at the end of the regular season, obviously had a good run, just kind of ran out of gas last weekend against Illinois, have the big win over Purdue, so you have to feel good about that. So even though it is 5-12, what do I have to do to talk you into having more confidence?
Tell me their defense got significantly better than it was in the Big Ten tournament. I mean, that's been the trend all year, right? You said earlier, A.J. Storr fits the identity of Wisconsin. He fits the identity of this Wisconsin team, which is we can actually score the rock. 80 points is not rare air anymore for the Wisconsin Badgers. But allowing 80 points also isn't rare air this year for the Wisconsin Badgers. James Madison has played nobody. Their only top 100 win this year was on November 4th, which who cares about November 4th? It was over Michigan State when they were the number 4 team in the country. Eventually, they fell out of the AP poll and never reappeared in the AP poll, but they're still alive in the NCAA tournament with a win yesterday over Mississippi State in the opener. when it comes to the Badgers, I need Stephen Crowell to score in double digits. If he does that, the Badgers almost always win. I need A.J. Storr to be A.J. Storr. Take your shots, bro. Like, I don't care if you take 15, 17, 18 shots. Take your shots. You're going to make some of them. You're going to give an offensive presence that was so desperately needed a year ago for the Badgers. They have it this year. And everybody else has played together for a year outside of A.J. Storr and the freshman John Blackwell, who's provided a really nice spark off the bench for them throughout the course of this regular season. Chucky Hepburn's going to be Chucky Hepburn. Tyler Wall's going to be Tyler Wall. Max Klesmit's going to be Max Klesmit.
How come just about every Badger point guard in my memory, other than like Mike Kelly, everybody loved Mike Kelly, and that's probably maybe even a little old for you.
It is, but I know who he is.
24 years ago,
the 99-2000 team.
Yep. Yeah. But after that, it seems like every other Badger point guard, the fan base, there's a love-hate relationship there.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a ton of hate with Chucky, more so just he's regressed in scoring, but I feel like his overall game has improved. At least I can recognize that, right? He's better defensively, he's better as a facilitator, and he can get his. You saw it in the overtime win against Purdue last week.
And he doesn't need to be that scorer.
No.
Because he has other, when he's had to be that guy, sure, then he ends up taking some shots, and a couple of years ago against Marquette, who, boy, hit some pretty big ones,
sure
right?
did.
And I knew there was some inconsistency in terms of the scoring that's led to some of that frustration, but when he gets to be a true point guard and be that facilitator, I feel like that's a big reason why Wisconsin's been able to be as efficient offensively as they've been.
No doubt, and I think we'll see more of that tonight. I do think Wisconsin wins, Gabe. Of course I'm nervous because everybody should be nervous. You mentioned it earlier. Jed Latta's nervous when you're playing 15-seeded Western Kentucky. Right? Upsets happen in the NCAA tournament, yes. But when you're a good team, you're a good team. I think Wisconsin is eking on good team. After the Big Ten tournament, I think I'm sold. I can call them that right now.
Okay.
But they could lose that title really fast. They did it in February. They were 7-1 in Big Ten play, all alone atop the Big Ten at the end of the month of January. Then they go, I think it was 3-8 in February. That's bad. With losses to Rutgers,
I thought they only had 2. I could be wrong. I thought they
might have been
2-8.
You might be right. I thought they went. I mean, they completely fell off the roller coaster, Gabe. The roller coaster stopped riding. Right? They got stuck at the top, and then they fell down. And then in the Big Ten tournament, they came back up on the roller coaster. That's the good news. I just don't know if it's going to translate. You've got to keep your guys fired up this week. You are certainly not an underdog in this game. You are certainly not a favorite if you win this game moving forward. You got Duke, then you're going to have Houston, then you're going to have Marquette likely. If it's chalk the rest of the way, which you never know, but likely it could be, at least for the Badgers portion of this region, the South region. So I'm intrigued. I'm excited for this one tonight. I think they win. I just don't know if they cover the 5.5 points they're only favored by.
Whew.
They play down to their competition. It's what they do, man.
So
it's
what
Greg
you're
Gardball.
telling me is it could be a late night for me.
Yeah.
Make sure I've got enough beer in the mini fridge to get me through the night.
Well, how big is the mini fridge, and where is it located?
It's a typical mini fridge. It's in the island in our kitchen.
Oh, so it's not in the living room.
It is not in the living room.
Is that a you choice, or your wife would not allow it in the living room choice?
No. So when we bought the house, that's where it was. Like there was already
it came
one.
with the house.
It came with the house.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, little mini fridge. That's where we put all of our beverages.
Nice.
Whether it's the beer, the LaCroix. My wife's a big LaCroix fan,
okay.
So got to stay hydrated. That's important. But
that's true.
Yeah, that's where that's where the high life is. That's where the high life lives.
Okay, well, very good. I hope you enjoy the high life tonight, and yeah, you're going to need it stocked because I think not only is this game supposed to tip off at 8:40 p.m. locally, it's going to end up being about 9:10 because there's a game before it, which means if it's close, and I guarantee you this game will be closer than it should be. You're going to bed probably 11:30 midnight. You think you got that in you? You've had a big day.
Whew. I may have to make a little coffee.
You're not that old, Gabe. How old are you?
38.
Oh, you're older than I thought. You got a young man's energy. Good for you. You're 38 years old?
38 years old, yes, sir.
You're ancient. Never mind.
Yeah.
Make the damn coffee. Make the damn coffee. Because you're going to need it as Wisconsin tips off 8:40 p.m. tonight against 12th-seeded James Madison. The Dukes and the Badgers head-to-head in round numero uno of the NCAA tournament. Winner will likely play Duke, but they still have to win their game, and you never know. Not a ton of upsets in this first round. Duke leading Vermont right now, 13.5 minutes to play in the first half, 18-12 the score in that one. Other scores going on right now. Nebraska leading 9th-seeded Texas A&M. Nebraska, the 8th seed, 29-28. The Huskers in front with 10 minutes to go in the first half. Finals from today in the NCAA tournament. We mentioned it earlier. UConn, the top seed in the tournament, almost covers twice. 91-52 over Stetson. The Mad Hatters, I hear? Or the Hatters?
If you tell me that's what it is, sure. They're not wearing hats anymore, I guarantee you that.
Yeah, that's true. No on to the second round hats
blown off
for the Hatters. Marquette over Western Kentucky, 87-69. We talked about that game a bit earlier. You heard it earlier on 94.5 ESPN.
Nice.
Milwaukee. What do you mean nice? Nice plug? Or nice win? What do you say nice to?
What was the score?
Went right over my head.
Okay.
87-69.
Nice.
You see, you're not that old. You've got a young man's energy. 92-67. It was Baylor all over the toothpaste. Colgate, 92-67. 3-seeded Baylor moving on in the West region. And we mentioned the big upset, 13-seeded Yale, 78-76 over 4th-seeded Auburn. David Gruber's disappointed tonight. San Diego State hangs on over UAB, 5 over 12, 69-65.
Nice.
This means Wisconsin's scoring 69 tonight. It has to mean it.
Yeah, I mean, they got to score more than that, right?
You would hope. Clemson hangs on, and the double-digit seed everybody loved was New Mexico.
Yeah.
They got pounded today against Clemson, 77-56. Colorado beats Florida. They'll play Marquette coming up on Sunday, 102-100. And Northwestern in overtime scores 19 points.
They scored 19 in the first half's trophy.
They scored 19 in the overtime period as well to get a 77-65 win over last year's sweetheart, Florida Atlantic. Those are your finals from today's round of 64 matchups. We will continue the discussion, all things March Madness. Marquette's win, Wisconsin playing tonight. This is a show we call ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night, live from the 3rd Street Market Hall.
More ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night coming up on ESPN Wisconsin.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
It's never good when you start reading a story and you hear about someone being fired, questions, $4.5 million in wire transfers, and also a bookmaking operation. All that is next to the best player in baseball, Shohei Ohtani of Los Angeles Dodgers. They fired his longtime friend and interpreter, Ipe Mizuhara, because according to Mizuhara and an ESPN investigation written by Tisha Thompson, he incurred gambling debts to a Southern California bookmaking operation that is under federal investigation. If you're Major League Baseball, if you're Rob Manfred, the commissioner, you're thinking, really? This is going to be the storyline taking us into the season when we have so much excitement about our sport with young stars and the biggest star, the second biggest market in the world, and Shohei Ohtani, and we've got this. Rob Manfred must have had a long, long Wednesday and Thursday morning because this is only the beginning. The ending, no one knows, but I guarantee you it is not going to be pretty. In 60 seconds, welcome to the madness. Thank God for that.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Work productivity is not going to be at a high level on a Thursday and on a Friday when you got the first 2 days of the NCAA tournament when it comes to the fellas and the first day of the NCAA tournament for the women that happens on Friday. Now, I know there are not a lot of big stars that we're used to hearing about on the men's side. That doesn't mean that any kind of excitement is going to be lessened because that's what March Madness is all about. Teams that you may know, teams that you don't know, it's all about what? Your bracket. It's also about something else. The pool in your bracket and how much you can lord it over others, whether you know the players or know the teams or not. That's always been the beauty of college basketball when it comes to brackets, when it comes to March Madness. So many people are invested in something that they still know very, very little about. That doesn't mean the excitement gets lessened. And there's always going to be a beauty of March Madness, male-wise and female-wise, especially this year. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because our home policies help protect your dreams and come with peace of mind. Save up to 25% by bundling home, auto, and life. American Family Insurance. Get a quote, find an agent at amfam.com.
Products not available in every state. Discounts may not apply to all coverages on an auto or home policy. Discounts do not apply to life insurance policies. Visit amfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, American Family Life Insurance Company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Your bathroom is boring and basic too. It seems like there's nothing you can do. A better bath awaits. You'll feel brand new, relaxing in a world of peace at the Bath Authority.
Hey, it's Kyle Wallace. Right now, schedule your free in-home estimate and get $1,000 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Restrictions apply. A better bath awaits.
You're our priority at the Bath Authority.
This is ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night, live from inside the 3rd Street Market Hall on ESPN Wisconsin.
ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night rolls on live from the 3rd Street Market Hall in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside Game Night, I'm Alex Strofe with you on your Friday night, 6:39 p.m. If you're heading over to the Potawatomi Casino and Hotel, TA live show, Thanasis Live, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and a special guest. I would tell you the website, but it's too late. You either got tickets or you don't, and I'll see you over there if you do. Gabe, you're not going?
I am not. I'm not big time like you are.
Yeah, we both know what you just said is entirely false, Mr. ESPN
well,
National.
one of us is going to the big live show featuring the Antetokounmpos, and one of us is not. So I got to imagine you're looking forward to it. It's going to be.
I very much am. Yeah.
I mean, as great as that documentary was.
Yeah, it sure was.
If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Prime Video. Make sure you check it out. And then the side podcast that's available with Bucks Plus, and Thanasis did a great job with that with Stephen Watson, and there are a lot of great episodes there. I recommend listening to that. Just knowing how good those pieces were separately, now putting Giannis, Thanasis together, hilarity is going to ensue. Like, you're going to go through the Coach V thing. You're going to think, you're going to laugh, you're going to cry.
Yeah, probably. It's
going to be a full day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It starts at 7 o'clock. Hopefully I get there about 7:05. Hopefully I don't miss too much, but we will see as that's going on over at the Potawatomi Casino and Hotel. You've got the Badgers playing 8:40 p.m. scheduled tip here local time tonight against James Madison. And Marquette already has a win in the books. You're decked out in your Marquette gear. You've got your blue and yellow sneakers on. You've got a good kicks game going right now, bro.
Yeah, so, I was over at Buffalo Wild Wings. We're going to be at Buffalo Wild Wings Oak Creek for the game Sunday, so just stay tuned to whenever.
Can I actually cut you off? I got to ask you something about that. You were being applauded as you went to break during your halftime report. I was driving into Milwaukee as I was listening to that.
Sure.
Is that awkward?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, yeah. Because some people are paying attention, other people aren't. Halftime pregame, you're getting settled in. Maybe you're ordering, getting another drink, getting a couple more wings, doing whatever you're doing. And, some people are paying attention. I appreciate the applause, though. I think it's nice.
I just think it's awesome when you're going from telling about the local Army ROTC, and then you're getting a round of applause for it.
Yeah.
It's because you read a piece of paper. Great job, Gabriel.
I'm
proud of you.
I thought I read it pretty good, too. So I'm just glad that they recognized that I was able to read it pretty well.
The people in that B-Dubs recognize greatness, and if you want to recognize greatness, depending on the tip time, we don't know when it is yet, Sunday, you can go visit Gabe at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Oak Creek Sunday before and during the game. That's where the official watch party will be for Marquette and Colorado, the matchup on Sunday. You worried about the Buffs at all?
Not super worried. I haven't started digging in on the Buffaloes. Knew a little bit more just because I saw Florida play in the SEC tournament because they made the run to the tournament championship game. Obviously had the unfortunate injury, which really was a devastating blow to their defense today because they gave up the 102 points. But they're a 10 seed. The Pac-12 hasn't been as strong as of late. But like you said, it's the NCAA tournament. Like, I felt pretty confident last year. Granted, it was a 7 seed, but going in against Michigan State. Like, I felt Marquette was in a really good spot. Yeah, Michigan State, they've got the reputation, Tom Izzo, all those things, and they ended up pushing Marquette around. So you're always a little bit nervous going in, but I feel good about Marquette just because of the way they played in the second half. And when you have a game like you did today for Marquette, it's like a coach's dream. You won by 18, But there are enough things there that you pick out
There's plenty to dig into, yeah.
It's not like, because last year I think Cam had scored 17 in a row and they blew out whoever they were playing in the 2-15 game. And, so you're kind of feeling, I'm sure Marquette's feeling good about themselves heading in, but A, so many guys back from last year's team I think can avoid falling into that trap. And B, enough things went wrong in the first half that Shaka Smart and his staff are going, ooh, baby. We got some things we can coach up.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. With 48 hours to go, or maybe less than that, depending on the game time Sunday between Colorado and Marquette. You said something a bit earlier, if you're just joining us here on ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night. Alex Strofe, Game Night, so with you. About Marquette and Tyler Kolek making his reappearance today after missing the Big East tournament in the final few games of the regular season. It seemed like it took a couple, not only a couple of possessions, but really the full first half for Marquette to really get their mojo back, to get their vibe back with their All-American back in the lineup, and Tyler Kolek, one of the best floor generals in the country, if not the best floor general in the country, Gabe. But it took a little bit because he is so ball dominant. Mm-hmm. And they found their groove then in the second half, still winning by 18. It was never really close after about the 10-minute mark in the second half. Every Marquette fan in the area, I imagine, breathed a sigh of relief and thought, okay, we're good now. We're going to make it to the round of 32.
Yeah, and it was really, Tyler finished with 11 assists. He had 1 assist and 2 turnovers in the first half. He had a lot of points. He had 13. They had to rely on him to score a lot of points, which typically is not the recipe for success for him. They're at their best with Tyler when he's able to hit those shots and also be the facilitator. And that's just not what was happening in the first half. I think there was some overpassing, some overthinking. Shaka Smart, after the game, said some guys were playing tight. Obviously, Tyler was not. Interestingly enough, Tyler Kolek was not one of them. And Cam Jones was the other one where those two were able to get something to go offensively. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, there are plenty of other things that they can work on and coach up offensively, defensively. They kind of let some good looks go in that first half as well before they were able to lock things down in half number 2. So many things that they can coach up. But also I think it was just so important. Like, it ended up being kind of a tighter game, so they couldn't take Tyler Kolek out. And that was something that Shaka joked about after the game as well of, we kind of want to have a minutes restriction on him, but at the same time, we're in the tournament.
You can't now.
You can't take him out, right?
No,
and
you can't.
I think that was good because now his legs are completely under him. You feel good about him going forward. You think he should be pretty fresh after having to miss the 3-4 weeks that he had to.
I believe you used the term prude on your Selection Sunday show with Brian D. that you referenced earlier when it came to their approach in the Big East tournament and not playing Tyler Kolek.
Yeah.
So I feel like guns got to be ablazing here in the NCAA tournament. Your best player's got to be on the floor, especially in a tight game.
Yeah, and Tyler's just that type of guy that you trust in every situation, and obviously they trust him. If it was bothering him a little bit today, he didn't let on. I don't think it's bothering him at all. I think those questions were answered when he knocked down a couple of threes early in the game. Like, okay, he's ready to go, and then he hands out the 10 assists in the second half. I think it was the right thing to do to hold him out of the Big East tournament. My guess is behind the scenes he was probably trying to push to play in the Big East tournament, which is what you want. But then you have to trust your coaching staff to, okay, the smart thing is to hold them off. And I think they executed that plan to a T, and hopefully that plan can continue to be executed here going forward in the tournament.
I'm going to give you a prediction, Gabe.
Yep, hit me.
I think Marquette wins by 20-plus on Sunday.
Ooh.
I think they look dominant. I'm saying that about a team that just scored 102 points, by the way, in a win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, against Florida. I know there was all the talk of did the Big East get disrespected because they only got 3 teams in the tournament.
Yes, the answer is yes.
And
but the Big East was very top heavy.
Yes,
the three best teams are still alive.
The three teams. They were all in the top 10 of the AP. I think all 3 of those teams. Granted, for Creighton and Marquette, some things would have to break their way. For Marquette, some things already have. But I could see all of those teams in the Final Four. I think UConn's the best team in the country.
I fully agree.
And everybody
I don't
agrees.
think it's close.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees with that. They're the number 1 overall seed, but I'm with you. I don't think it's close. That's not to say that they're going to win every game going away because, they lost a game to Creighton. Granted, it was at Creighton, by 20 points. Mm-hmm. It's still college basketball. Weird things can end up happening. But I feel like all 3 of those teams, and as tightly as they mostly played each other, I know there were a couple of blowouts. I mentioned the Creighton over UConn. Obviously, the first time UConn just blew the doors off Marquette. Don't know if they kind of hyped themselves too much for that game. But without Tyler Kolek, they hung with UConn. These teams are super talented. They're really good. And I'm expecting all these teams in the Big East to make a run. I really am.
I am too. I think, I wanted to, and I brought it up a bit earlier, 6 teams made it from the Big Ten. They're 3-0 right now, though Nebraska trailing by 11 to Texas A&M might get the first Big Ten loss. Only 3 teams made it from the Big East. I thought it was a really good conference this year.
Well, it was
I do
because
think Seton Hall got snubbed. But
I mean, NC State, there were so many teams this year that just stole bids,
yeah.
and that ended up blocking out St. John's, Seton Hall, maybe Providence, who is out without their second best player after they lost Bryce to a knee injury. It just seemed like they were all on the bubble, and they ended up on the wrong side of the bubble. But
right.
it was a really deep conference all year long.
It sure was, and it was an entertaining conference outside of UConn. But you mentioned it, right? They go on the road to Creighton, they lose by 20 points. College basketball is a weird game. That's why they call it madness, this tournament, right? Because anything can happen, and we've already seen some weird things happen, which includes Oakland with a big win yesterday over Kentucky, and today Yale over Auburn.
This is, without a doubt, if you want to find out who the quote-unquote best team is, this is the worst way to decide it. This is the worst way to decide it. Yeah. It's the most fun and entertaining way to decide it, which is why it makes $1 billion every year, and everybody loves watching it.
Everybody in America fills out a bracket for a reason.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
It's fantastic, and I don't want it to change it. I just want it to be on the record. If you want to know who the best team is in college basketball, having a single elimination tournament is not the way to do it.
No, but it is by far the most entertaining, and that's why it's my favorite time of the year here this first weekend. We've got a ton more basketball to be had tonight. Just to give you a quick score updates, Texas A&M over Nebraska, 53-39, 2.5 minutes left to play in the first there. Duke up 10 on Vermont with 5 minutes to go in the first half, 28-18. Game's tipping off a bit later. Purdue Grambling is the next one to tip off. No one seed is lost yet.
Not expecting that to change.
Me neither. Charleston and Alabama, that's a 13-4. That's a 7:03 tip. Longwood, nice. And Houston, 8:20 p.m. tip. I had to get you back. Sorry, I had to do it. James Madison, Wisconsin, 8:40 p.m. scheduled tip time on CBS. TCU, Utah State is a 9-8 matchup. And Grand Canyon, St. Mary's, the nightcap and the cap of the round of 64, a 9:05 tip tonight between 12-seeded Grand Canyon and 5-seeded St. Mary's. Those games still yet to tip. We've got one more segment left to tip. We will talk our biggest surprise so far in the NCAA tournament. He's Gabe Neitzel. I'm Alex Strofe. This is ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night live from the 3rd Street Market Hall in downtown Milwaukee.
We're back with more ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night after this on ESPN Wisconsin. It's time for the Milwaukee Basketball Report on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by National Liquor Mart, located at 16th and National in Milwaukee. National Liquor Mart is packed with deals for all your beverage needs, where your satisfaction is their plan of action. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily.
The Bucks' fourth quarter rally came up short in a 122-119 road loss to the Boston Celtics. Playing without Giannis for a second straight game, Milwaukee nearly erased a 21-point deficit in the final period. Head coach Doc Rivers proud of how his team kept fighting.
You love that. We did keep fighting. We had a lot of self-inflicted wounds, turnovers, offensive rebounds, bad possessions. But all of those are great things for us to watch film and to learn and get better. This is a really good learning opportunity for us.
Damian Lillard finished with 32 points, while Bobby Portis chipped in 24 off the bench, 14 coming in the fourth quarter. The 45-25 Bucks host the Brooklyn Nets tonight at Fiserv Forum.
This has been the Milwaukee Basketball Report on 94.5 ESPN. Brought to you by National Liquor Mart.
Brewers fans, listen up. On April 2nd, the Milwaukee Broadhouse and the Milwaukee Brewers are teaming up to bring you the ultimate tailgate experience. Forget the parking lot hassle. Drink with us at the Tailgate House. For just $69 per person, including an all-you-can-eat and drink package, enjoy live music and see 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee's live broadcast. Don't worry about transportation either. There's free round-trip shuttle transportation from the Milwaukee Broadhouse and its sister locations, Worst Bar, Jack's American Pub, and Wanakee Golf Course is available. Secure your spot at the Tailgate House today at MilwaukeeBroadhouse.com.
A season of award-winning golf at Sweetgrass and Sage Run is on the horizon. The Island Resort and Casino's stay-and-play golf packages are booking fast, with choice dates available early in the week. After your rounds, visit the Drift Spa for a relaxing or targeted massage session. And enjoy dinner at Horizon's scenic top-floor steakhouse. So many reasons to take a drive. Book your stay-and-play golf package today. Visit islandresortgolf.com.
0% interest for up to 3 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Pella's free in-home consultations make replacing or redesigning your windows and doors easy. We go beyond just measuring and handing you a quote. We take the time to listen and educate you on all your product options. And with DesignWorks, you can see what your home will look like before you buy. Whether you're looking to replace your windows due to damage or it's time for a refresh and you'd like to revitalize your home style, choosing from Pella's wide range of windows and doors will complement your home's unique design. Pella can also customize, providing nearly endless possibilities for maximum design flexibility with dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Order by March 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Set your free consultation at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
After a serious crash with a semi-truck, everything can change instantly. Your future, your family's future, your quality of life. That's why knowledge and results matter in big truck cases. And not all law firms have the know-how or the resources to handle these complicated cases. At Gruberg Law Offices, we have the experience it takes to make sure you're protected. And there's never a fee until we win your case. Gruberg Law Offices. One call, that's all.
You're back at the gym. Your new gym outfit? On point. Your new sneakers? Baller. You've got this. Just like Associated Bank's got you with Access Checking. It's maintenance fee-free with no minimum balance requirements. So when you take your first yoga class in 10 months, your body might surprise you, but your checking account won't. You've got this with Access Checking from Associated Bank. See associatedbank.com/checking or ask a banker for details. Member FDIC.
You're listening to ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night, live from inside the 3rd Street Market Hall on ESPN Wisconsin.
Wrapping up ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night, live from the 3rd Street Market Hall, alongside the great Game Nights and Alex Strofe on hand with you for a few more minutes. Tonight ends the round of 64. We're on to the round of 32 tomorrow. A couple more games set to tip off tonight, which includes the Wisconsin Badgers, 22-13 on the year. A number 5 seed in the South region, same region as the 2-seeded Marquette, who's on to the round of 32 with a win today. They play the number 12th seeded James Madison Dukes. 31-3 season for the Dukes. 31 wins ties the most in this year's NCAA tournament field. The Badgers 5.5-point favorites, according to ESPN Bet. Before we get out of here, Gabriel, what was the biggest surprise to you so far in the NCAA tournament?
I mean, it's got to be Oakland, right?
Yeah,
and maybe it's, the way that they came out firing and that team, to me, has the opportunity. I'm going to be watching, without a doubt, tomorrow. I
no doubt
will not miss that Oakland game because of the way that they played yesterday. And I love, the local tie is fantastic with
Jack Golke.
Jack Golke, which, by the way, 8 2-point attempts all year.
So that was actually going to be my surprise of the tournament, is that he made 10 threes and he's only taken 8 2-pointers.
Have you seen his shot chart?
No.
So it's all threes. One of the 2-pointers, he's just barely inside the arc, like right corner-ish.
Oh, so it's a long jumper?
Yeah, most, I think 7 are then at the rim, and then there's just like one random. I don't know if it was a floater, like just inside the free throw line, like maybe 11, 12 feet. It's just, it's a thing of beauty.
Yeah,
if you have ever been a shooter in high school, it is every kid's dream to have that shot chart in college.
I was having a couple drinks after the show yesterday here at the 3rd Street Market Hall with some of our teammates, and it was brought up, the 8 2-point stat. And I thought to myself, and I said a lot, I wonder if it's just like fast break layups.
Yeah.
And then it's all threes. Which it kind of sounds like that might be the case.
Well, so I thought like maybe one time he did the shot fake, guy flew by, he had an open, like just wide open, so he goes. But then I thought, wait a second. If there's nothing between this kid and the rim, he's firing that jumper.
He's taking the shot.
Yeah, he's firing the three.
Yeah.
That's the reason he is at Oakland. That's the reason he's in the game.
Yeah, Jack Golke from Pewaukee, his name, 10 3-pointers. He's one of 5 people to ever do that in an NCAA tournament game, as Oakland tops 3-seeded Kentucky yesterday. And it really clears the path for Marquette to the Elite Eight. All double-digit seeds in the Golden Eagles' way. They will play Colorado Sunday. Wisconsin yet to tip off. They'll play 12th-seeded James Madison tonight, an 8:40 p.m. scheduled tip here Central Time on CBS. You get the main crew. Ian Eagle on the call tonight for the Badgers.
Ooh.
That's how you know it's a big game feel. That's how you know it's a big game. I like that impression. Gabe, a pleasure as always, buddy. Thanks.
Oh, Great way to spend a Friday night.
No doubt about it. Big thanks to Max Meyerson running the show for us back at the Gruber Law Offices. One Call That's All Studios. I'm Alex Strofe. Enjoy the basketball. We're back with you maybe sometime next week. I would imagine you're back Sunday with Marquette coverage. This has been ESPN Wisconsin College Game Night live from the 3rd Street Market Hall.
Make it a real Mad March with a playoff payout at Potawatomi. Every week you could score